So if we have somebody that's undergone a seizure, gently lay them on the ground if they are able to. If there's space, you have to be careful, wary of space around you. All right. So the ideal thing is to put them into the recovery position here. Knee up from here, and the knee turn onto the side. So as we all know, guys, I'm not a registered nurse, I'm just the team leader for our service group. So this video, this instructional video, is purely for staff members within a group that need to know what they have to do in a situation like this. So what we'd be doing after that is making sure that their responses, so we have to keep speaking to them as much as possible. And with focused procedures, we have to, as soon as we've seen that they're okay and in position, we have to call the emergencies. But first of all, I want to go through step by step what a group leader should be doing in a group situation. So this is a group scenario, okay? This is when you have 2, 3 or 4 staff members within that group. The group leader of the group should be delegating from the very offset, from the morning, when you've had your debriefing, to your clients about the day's activities or events. They should be immediately delegating their staff members, so if we've got 3, for example, role and responsibility before any seizure occurs, so that they're pre-planned for any possibility. So they should delegate a staff member to time the seizure. They'd be calling the paramedics, because when they're on the phone to the paramedics, they'll be going through a series of questions that we need to ascertain by looking at the client to check for breathing, to check for twitching, any movement of the eyes, because those details we're going to have to put down in the seizure observation record afterwards. But there's nothing to concern about, they're fairly straightforward questions if you know your care plan and emergency plan and the client that you're dealing with. That is why it is of utmost importance to please memorise, if possible, and read over the ISP as many times as you need to before you work with that specific client. So you've got the group leader preferably, or somebody that knows a lot about the client's emergency care plan, dealing with the client on the ground, calling the paramedics. You've got another staff member who will be timing the procedure and checking whether she goes in and out of consciousness. We've got a staff member checking ops, staff member timing. They should delegate a staff member to, if possible, take away a couple of the more vulnerable clients that don't like to see paramedics turn up and are affected by that. That's if it's safe to do so and the balance of ratio is correct. So this is an outdoor situation. We've just gone from an internal environment to an exterior environment. And if one of your clients happens to have seizures when they're outside, obviously, they might pre-warn you, or it might just happen. Okay, so we would get them under their arms, and like before, we would ease them down gently onto the nearest area with some space around it. So Julia, could you please time the seizure? Carrie Ann, could you please take our client Nathan and whoever else is vulnerable and doesn't like to see these kind of things happening, take them away where they're still in our sight but they're away from the scene. Much like the indoor situation, except outdoors we have higher risk elements involved. That is weather. Sometimes we might not always have a shaded area to take that client who's undergoing the seizure to. But if we are, for example, in a shopping centre like this, we can take them, if there's no sofa or a chair or a bench, we can take them to, again, a place where there's ample space around them and put them in the recovery position with this bag resting on their head. And again, as well as talking to the staff, I would also be checking for responsiveness, breathing, what's going on here. But because I am here in the situation, observing, I'm the closest to that client, so I'd be the one to call the emergencies, go through everything on the phone, their stats, their details, their medication, their age, their name, where we are, the address that we are, wait for those paramedics, but before the paramedics come, I would call on-call. That's what we do. We call on-call, and then on-call will let the parents or the guardians or the loved ones know. So first of all, you'd have to record it as an incident. Whoever was there observing and was with the client, for the most part, should be doing this. the incident report, then you do your seizure observation record, and it's much easier personally if you get yourself a CAM scanner app for free. Just hover your phone over the documents, it will take a nice clean picture, and you can then email that to the case manager of the client who underwent the seizure. So that is very important. We have to have that seizure observation record returned to the case manager of the client within 24 hours. Please do not leave it any longer than 24 hours. Okay, thank you, Crystal.
That's okay.
Alright, is there anything you'd like to say, mister?
No.
No? Thank you for your time. I like your haircut.
Even more.